I'm going to jump right into the American football and preview this upcoming divisional weekend in the NFL. So pumped. This is normally the best weekend of the NFL season because it's the top 8 teams. Uh, Last weekend was great, and we got an extra playoff game, which we don't normally have. So that's why it kind of contended for that best weekend title. But I truly think this is the distilled top 4 teams in each conference. Everything's in place for some heavyweight showdowns, and we start on Saturday at 4:35 with the Green Bay Packers and the Los Angeles Rams. And if you're talking about the absolute prime time matchup that you want to see in terms of best football players, maybe not best storylines, then it's this game. You have got the probably MVP of the season, Aaron Rodgers, going up against the probably defensive player of the year, Aaron Donald. And the Packers O-line has been super underrated and been really, really solid so far this year. And Aaron Donald is the best defensive player in football right now. And a lot of people have said he's one of the best defensive players they've ever seen. So it's going to be an excellent matchup. Hopefully, Donald is healthy, recovering from whatever sort of rib injury he had last week. He's definitely going to play through it. And he just opens things up for the rest of that Rams D line, which is also very ferocious, most notably like a Leonard Floyd. The other key primetime matchup, which is going to be so fun, is probably the best wide receiver in this season, Devontae Adams, versus the best cornerback this season in Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey absolutely shut down DK Metcalf in their 3 meetings. Adams is a bit different of a receiver. He's not as physical and imposing as Metcalf, but he's a lot quicker into his routes and changing direction and things like that. And so this will be a tougher cover for Ramsey because I think Ramsey bodes better against the bigger receivers. So it'll be interesting to see how they get Adams in space because Ramsey has been playing really, really well, and he kind of shuts down most teams' top guys. And Rodgers and Adams have had like a historic season in terms of connecting with one another. So it should just be a great one-on-one matchup. And I can't wait for whoever is doing the color commentary to break down some of those routes on the broadcast.
My
And then,
aunt and
yeah,
uncle are big cheeseheads, so I think my dad wants to watch this game with me just so he can like live tweet at them. Uh,
and it being Saturday afternoon, it won't interfere with any Saturday night hockey you want to take in.
no,
So things line up well this weekend for sports.
go cheeseheads or go
Yeah,
Packers.
yeah. The biggest thing for the Packers in this game, on the defensive side, it's going to be they have a weaker run defense, and that was their downfall last year in their playoff run against San Francisco when they met in the NFC Championship game. The Rams have a solid run game. Rookie Cam Akers has gotten better every week and has proved to be really, really solid. And so the secondary is really going to have to key in on the run and uh, how Jared Goff plays off of the play action. I wouldn't say he had a great week last week. He had a rough week throwing the ball. His thumb's injured still. He's 1 week further into his rehab, but we'll see how Goff performs because Wolford's out, so it's going to be Goff starting, and it'll be a strong O versus strong D matchup for Green Bay, LA on that side, and then it'll be a weaker LA offense against a weaker Green Bay defense that will also be an interesting matchup on that side of the ball. So it's gonna have 2 marquee matchups to watch that everyone will be looking forward to, and then we'll see how the rest of the game goes. Maybe we'll get some snow. That would be really, really fun. And that could also play into the LA Rams having a tough time because I don't think they've played in a place this cold in a while.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. We move on to the Saturday night game at 8:30. The Baltimore Ravens heading to Buffalo to play the Bills. And this is 2 teams with 2 quarterbacks who were drafted in the same year. And it feels like everyone loves these 2 guys. And how could you not? They're both super electric and make great plays. Lamar, of course, with that incredible run last week. And Josh Allen's been playing out of his mind now for about 11 straight weeks, or pretty much all season, in fact. But 11 straight weeks as we go back to kind of last time they lost. And so I think in this game, Lamar needs to have another stellar game. The Ravens' strengths match up well with the Bills' weaknesses, where they have a solid running game and the Bills have a weaker run defense. And on the defensive side of the ball, that Ravens D-line, if they can continue to win the point of attack, then Buffalo's going to have virtually no running game. I could see Buffalo going to a strategy that they used against San Francisco earlier in the season where they spread their receivers out and almost operated with Josh Allen as their running back. And so that way you've got all these passing options. And then if you want, you run the QB draw and have Allen pick up a couple yards. And I think the biggest thing in this game is who's going to jump out to an early lead, because I definitely the Ravens struggle when they fall behind, and I think Buffalo, while they're a better come from behind team, the Ravens, when they have the ball up, are really, really good at just taking huge chunks out of the clock, running the ball every time they have it. So having an early lead in this game is going to be really, really crucial, and will go a long way in deciding this one. I'm looking forward to this one. I love both of these teams, and I can't wait to see them battle it out. Another potential snow game. Okay, we're actually going right into a third potential snow game. The Sunday afternoon game at 3:45. We got the Cleveland Browns. That's right, the Cleveland Browns heading to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 10-point favorites right now, I believe. And of course, they are the huge favorite. No one expected Cleveland to be here without their head coach, who they will have back, and some of the other players that they had missing to COVID/injuries. And they're going to need some sort of football luck in this game because the Chiefs are the best team in the league. And I think the formula for the Browns is Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt have to be super effective at running the ball, as they have been all season. Their O-line has to stay healthy and hang in there. And they just have to take huge amount of pieces of time away from the Chiefs so they have less time on the field. And then you need that Cleveland D to come up with one of those fortuitous plays that they had against the Steelers last week. A fumbled snap, 2 tipped interceptions, just something in special teams, because this Chiefs team, every single game they played in last year's postseason, they went down by 10 plus points and they won all those games, right? They can score 2-3 times in like 5 minutes if their defense makes the corresponding play to keep them on the field, right? And so no matter how perfectly your game plan can go, Patrick Mahomes could have 30 seconds with no timeouts left in the game and still drive his team 75 yards and score a touchdown. Like, he's just so special, and they have all the weapons to score quickly. And so even if the Browns play a perfect game, they're going to need some luck to go their way against this Kansas City team. And I'm just happy to root for the Browns because they haven't really been here before. But it's always fun to watch Patrick Mahomes play. So there's no real losers in this game.
Unless you're from Cleveland.
Yeah. Or if they somehow get the upset, that would be a big shocking loss for the Chiefs. All right. We move on to the Sunday night marquee matchup that was chosen to be billed as the game of the weekend. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints, the third matchup between these two teams of the season, the battle of Brady and Breeze, and everyone is so fired up for this game. It's the History Channel game. You've got these two guys who basically spent all season back and forth battling for the all-time touchdown record because they're both so far ahead of everyone else. And they both look passable as quarterbacks. You know, the veteran experience is there. They see all the reads. They've seen every single look you could ever give them. It's just about if Breeze can get his noodle arm to sling the ball out to some of his receivers, And if Brady can somehow manage to find the same page as some of his receivers, the story of this game, I think everyone's focusing on the two quarterbacks, but it's actually going to be a pretty defensive game, in my opinion. The Saints defense is number 2 in DVOA. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense had a great start to the season. They fell off a little bit, but this defense is super, super fast, and they have the right pieces to match up with New Orleans. Their linebackers, Devin White and Shaq Barrett, and others are just like super quick to the football, and they're going to need to be to get out on those screen plays and those runs to Alvin Kamara. And then Carlton Davis has been burned by some smaller, faster receivers, but against Michael Thomas, I think he could do a really good job. And then on the other side, Marshon Lattimore shuts down Mike Evans every time these two teams play each other. And this New Orleans Saints defense gets after the quarterback. So I think it's going to be a long day for Brady and Breeze. And I, with all the people excited to watch them play, I actually think it's going to be a fairly low scoring game. Finally, New Orleans is 2-0 in the regular season against the Bucs. They have seemed to have their number. It feels like everyone's riding the Tampa Bay hype train, even though all they did was beat the Washington football team. So I think if the New Orleans Saints kind of handily win this game or win this game by a touchdown, I don't think people should be too surprised because they've consistently been the better team all season and more consistent. But all it takes is that Bucs team to have either one of those halves or even like a full game of their best football. A full game of their best football, this Tampa Bay team is up there with Buffalo and Kansas City, in my opinion, with the offensive weapons that they have. So it should be a really, really great game. I'm looking forward to all of them. Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Max will preview his Combat Corner. But enjoy the football on this weekend, folks.